Hi everyone, I'm Potch, a type designer currently based in Bangkok. And thank you ATypI for having me here to share some part of my practice. So I'm here touching today about an inversion of Thai Latinized, which relate to the bilingual typeface that I just started a year ago after I got back to Thailand from grad schools in States. So start with this image, the digital copy of an archive that I recently found from Thai National Library. For a quick background, in Thai, there are two different terminal forms. Here is called loop terminal, which kin with the traditional Thai letter form. And here is loopless, which has evolved to match with the Latin sans serif. You guys might notice here that there are some letter form which looks much similar to the Latin, and some just share exactly the same shape with the Latin. So my question is, why Thai gained so much influence from Latin? Here's a series of comparison between loop terminal, the traditional one, the Latin, and the Thai loopless. For me, the more contemporary it tried to get, the more Latinized it was. And as the loopless one, gained influence by the Latin. So I would term this as a Thai Latinized. And by the Latinized idea here, my curiosity would be, what if Thai alphabet, or even other language, influenced the Latin? I know the idea wouldn't sound different from this, but for my new typeface, I tend to find a way to interpret it differently with my own approach. I want the visual of the letterform to reflect from the thought or process behind the typeface. Back to the sample that I've just shown. There are two different terminal styles here, and both of them convey differently. One is quite traditional, and one is going out of the way to convey more contemporary sense. So what I feel is missing between these two is something that more relate to locals and something that's more humanist. Then I'm thinking of the handwritten straight sign, the vernaculars which we usually found in our daily life. And I just want to point out to this letter, yeah, it's similar to the N, but what made this one different is the counter space on top in this letter is way much bigger than the N. The reason is this letter is drawn in a running construction writing. I mean, it was drawn by just a single line. But you might say, of course, because this one is a handwritten sign. But if looking back to the original letter form, we still keep a huge counter space here, which means most of the Thai letter forms still keep the sense of handwritten. So my approach for this new bilingual typeface, I want to bring Thai to influence Latin by adding a running construction writing to the Latin. Here are some parts of the early sketches during the design process that I was trying to sketch the Thai letter form in parallel with the Latin. So yeah, here's the end result, which, since I add a running construction to the Roman, it's pretty much like an upright italic, as you might see from this lowercase k. With the uppercase, like R and G, they will also apply the idea of single stroke as well. And with a true italic, basically, it was adapted from the components that I've used in the upright. like the notch here in the middle of the blue and the tail in the L. It also applies to the letters like H and N, or even R in the italic that I have notched there and tails up there. So for this Thai version, since I already brought Thai to influence Latin, so for some letters, I basically just took the Latin to place them in Thai, which is still readable for Thai. Here's setting between Thai and Latin. So just sharing some cases that I have learned through the design process. Pointing out to this letter, it's called Khao Khai, which in the handwritten, it is so similar to the letter in front of it, which is called Bo Bai Mai. You might see here that they almost share the same form, but one is wider and another is slightly narrower. And here's the traditional form of these two letters. What actually makes them noticeably different is in Khao Khai, it has an egg right after the loop. So this is kind of the first draft that I tried with this letter form, but the thing is, it doesn't different enough, and it looks way too old style. So I tried with this one, which is close to the letter V, but it still doesn't look right. Also because in Thai, we didn't have much of diagonal stroke. So this would jump out and not gonna get along well with the rest in terms of texture. Then I came up with this, but I didn't have that slab shape in the bottom anywhere else. So I cut it out and it looks slanted to the left. So I slightly shifted back and tried to compromise between these counter space on both sides. And here's the end result in comparison with the traditional form. This is working fine with the rest and still give a nice consistency in terms of texture. The second case is shown the process during the production of true italic. They were all slanted with the same calculated angle. And yeah, we're still with the same letter, Khao Khai. You might notice that the front part of the letter looks way more slanted than the other stems. So I just tried to tilt it back and it's still not there. So I decide to slant the whole shape back by -2 degrees and it's almost there. Then I go with a -4. And the front part is looking good here. But, well, I still doubt with the back part. So what I did, I looked back to the first draft and it looks just perfectly right at the back part because all the clips were slanted by the same angle. Then I redrew this letter with this back part, connect with a less slanted angle in the front. And it works much smoother with the rest. What I just learned from this case was to produce the italic cut of the handwritten font. We should give full trust to eyes and sense, not letting the other or software lead you to the uncompromised result, since we normally perceive more humanistic sense in the italic version anyway. So to conclude, I would go back to the beginning that I mentioned these two letter forms, that the Thai loopless gained lots of influence from the Latin. So I proposed the term Thai Latinized, and through the process of the typeface, which motivated from Thai handwritten, influenced the Latin. Then I allow the result of Latin to influence back to Thai again. So I would call this process as an inversion of Thai Latinized. So yeah, this bilingual typeface is called Huai, which actually means lottery in Thai. Huai and Huai Thai will come with 6 weights, also italics, and Huai will publish with Posititype soon for the supercondense font that I've used in this presentation. It is hype, a new release from Posititype, so go check it out. I hope my talk could be helpful in some ways for you guys. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, hello again, broadcasting live after the presentation. So thank you so much for showing us this like very interesting project based on, I guess, like this curiosity of mixing between cultures. And,
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and dear attendees, maybe you have some questions which or thoughts which you would like to share about yeah, I mean, I have like some really nice comments like, wow, it's so nice, some distinctions. Oh yeah, such a beautiful typeface. Yes, it is. I mean, it's like very very interesting combination between yeah, as I said, between like two scripts and two different kind of aesthetics, right? So maybe I would like to ask, because I am not a type designer, but I am like a designer and a humanist and a researcher. So for me, the most interesting thing was like this, as I said before, this, I'm not sure if I call it a trend, when it comes to typeface as well. So the trend, let's call it like that, to combine different cultures within one typeface. So I just wanted to ask if you had, for example, like some, because you showed like us our process, how did you use like your thinking when it comes to the this project, and do you have like any thoughts like behind that? Like, I mean, why did you? Was like only the perspective of curiosity, or to combine those? What's like the background of the project? If you could like reveal us.
I think it's more kind of that in Thai type design industry, there's not much like style which goes around in the industry, and I think that kind of forced me to like, that make me like, yeah, I want to do something else, and and also it's also like I saw a lot of Thai that got influence from Latin, and I just feel like Thai, it's actually more different than Latin, and the way to draw it's a bit more complicated. I mean, compared to the original form, and compared to the cultural anyway. So I feel like if Thai can cut influence, why? And I think I saw so many language or other script that gain a lot of influence from Latin, and that's make me curious that why it have to be like that. Can those all like influence back to Latin, and how that's gonna turn out? And yeah, I think it just like started like curiously, and we'll see like how it's gonna go. And I'm not even sure like, is it gonna be done? Is it gonna be something like interesting enough? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, it's like for me, it's like also interesting the way you think about the combining those two, I would say, different cultures that, for example, I see that kind of more and more experimental also design. Not sure if you heard about like when it comes to like combining or mixing certain aspects of culture of type. Not sure if you heard about, but I'm sure that you maybe heard about this like project by which is called Aravit by
Yeah, I think I heard of it.
Liron. Yeah. So I was wondering if you know or could share, for example, like the knowledge about like if you know any similar project to yours, or what was like your inspiration, if you could say.
Uh,
Do you have any references like more of the, because I was thinking about, for example, building it would be nice to build a library of that kind of project. Just my
yeah, I mean, I at the time I didn't look up for like I
mhm.
if I try to look it up, I will back something up in my head, and when I draw it out, it just
Yeah,
gonna reflect from
exactly.
there. So I think
Yeah,
at that time I just like stopped looking any font or existing font. I just try to get
yeah.
my own way to like how to interpret Thai into the Latin, and then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more like
Yeah,
that way. So
yeah.
I have no like I don't have a big research background. Most of the big
Mm-hmm.
research is more like uh how to draw like that Thai, the authentic Thai little form, and what's what makes that look like inauthentic. I think it's more like
Mm-hmm.
that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And could you tell me also, what do you have any plans further for this particular project? I mean, do you want to develop the typeface in a way, or
I I kind of to make it I was trying to get it more style than it was right now, but and also I have planned to expand to the other script,
Mhm.
but also I have some thoughts that I feel like maybe I shouldn't do that, because like when I can bring Thai to advanced Latin, because I know the way how to draw, and I know like how the different is and how the culture is going to be, and I know like how to write in Thai and how to like speak in Thai, how Thai people can read, what's made that the good legibility when I design the letter form. But if I draw the other script that I have no idea, I have no clue, like what's the counter background within this letter, what's the developing, what of the script over there. I think I missed some kind of that sense if I going to like develop to expand more script. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure right now. Yeah.
Okay, so we have, I guess, one question from Erin for now. Do you personally find Latinized typefaces harder to read than looped? Was that also a reason for you to start the project?
Uh, I think in Thai we not feel that way totally, but I totally understand. Like I think people like think like for people that come to Thai and then they saw like different form, totally different form, they might found that it's really hard to read. But in Thai, that's not much hard. And I think when I start this project, it's not like it's the legibility of the Thai Latinized, but I think it's more because I think that Thai Latinized is getting overwhelmed use in Thai. So, and that's look pretty similar in different font. That's why it kind of started the project, and I want to try like something different. Even I don't know if that's different enough, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. uh, yeah, so was it like very hard to find this like balance between Thai and Latin to make it, as you said like readable and and as well like to stand out from other typefaces, like to so the font could have the Latin and Thai elements, but still be readable for the users. It was like hard to find that kind of balance.
Yeah, I think during the first days that I tried to sketch, like I was stuck, like how can I bring Thai to influence Latin, and then the Latin should be still readable for the local people. Like, yeah. When I start the Latin of this typeface, I start when I in grad school there in States, and I think that's kind of a good chance for me, like to get thought from local people, and I have to run to them and make sure that okay, this is not going to be too weird for them. It's going to be like still readable for them anyway. Yeah, what's my ideal? It's like it should be readable in both, and both could be like influenced together. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So do you think that this is like a question for Hans? Do you think your Thai font looks less or more usual to Thai people than the Latin fonts looks for Latin natives? Oh, this is like a very interesting question.
The Latin font look. I'm not sure. Is it like look unusual for Thai? But I think because this one is not published yet in Thai, but yeah, I asked some thought, and I asked some thought for like different people that they're not even in the design field, and they are still readable, and they still say that okay, this readable, the legibility, it's good enough, and yeah, I think that was enough for me. And for Latin, maybe because it's less, but not the usual Latin. Yeah, I mean for sure I what I feel is like it's gonna be look different in the Thai typeface that already out in the industry or in type design industry here. I feel it's gonna be different enough, but it's I hope it's still readable, and for after I asked different thought from the other people, I think it's still readable enough, and I'm not sure it's our designers going to feel like this is unusual and they're not going to use them, but I'm not sure. I just tried it out. But so far they just say like, okay, this look interesting and it's like different from what they have in type design market here. Yeah.
Okay, so I missed the question from Anna, but I think you might basically answer it before. But the question is the typeface family complete, or are you planning to expand it to and or add other scripts? So you already said that you will be like developing, right? When it comes to the weights.
Yeah, in the weights, I will try to develop, and even in weights or width, or I mean optical size. Yeah, maybe, but yeah, for the scripts, I'm not sure because I feel like to draw on the other script with this idea, I feel like I need to know like a lot and got involved in that other script or other language enough way to know the way how to draw, to know like how that script got developed. And yeah, I think that's kind of tough for me, and I'm not even sure am I good enough to draw the other script, or in this typeface, in this idea of typeface that I have to bring like them to influence Latin and kind of like influence both way. So yeah, I'm not sure. And
Okay, do we have like more questions? If not, can you tell us more about the current state of the type 1 market? Oh, okay, this is like really good. Are there several sign painting or casual style fonts like yours that already exists, or this is like totally new?
I think most of the Thai most of the Thai font in market right now they have it's almost all of them by the Latinized idea. I think also because when there are two terminal form like loop and loopless, right? The loop one it's more used in only text size or like paragraph. They usually not use loop one in the display size. I think that's also make other people when other type designer when they try to draw Thai, they're gonna try to draw like the loopless one because they feel like there's more room for them to play with, and the loop because most of them gonna use in text, use in paragraph, just in really small size. They cannot get that playful, or they cannot put many idea into that. I think that's make everyone try to make the loopless version, and because the first develop of the loopless one, they try to match the loopless with the sans serif. So I think the first sample that they have shown with the loopless one, it's always try to match with the Latin. So after they have that sample, everyone is kind of like try to match their loopless with the Latin and try to get that ideal to make it like perfect enough. And then the other way, it's going to be like handwritten font. That I think mostly they just draw by brush, because we also got a lot of like Thai mix of Thai Chinese, so they kind of bring like some tools that they use to draw in Chinese letterform, and they use that to draw in Thai, and they make that like a handwritten font. So I think mine is some way in between like handwritten font and like a proper digital font, kind of. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
because people look up to Latin, unfortunately. Yeah,
I think so. I think so because they in here they also say like when they try to use Thai font, it's not easy to make Thai to have like a Thai language, and like let me say like a book cover or a record cover. They also say like it's tough to make Thai place there and still look beautiful. So that makes them like, okay, we're gonna use the Latin, or we're gonna use Thai that looks similar to the Latin. And yeah, I think it's also like that way too.
Not sure if we have some more questions from the people. Okay, so maybe if there's no more questions, you can jump. We can jump in to our, if you want to discuss it further and in more natural way, for example. So you could, for example, see each other. You can just quickly jump into our Hangout session and discuss or maybe argue more about the differences between the scripts and about your project particularly. So thank you again for your presentation and for like very fresh perspective on when it comes to not only type design but also this. I would say it's like a hidden, I mean, or maybe not hidden, agenda when it comes to the when it comes to the world in general and culture as well, like the Latin culture.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much.
Thank you guys for watching, and see you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.